For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Shotgun Spratling for instant analysis of USC's 91-85 win over Utah in double overtime. If you thought the Trojans were leaving the dramatics, the drama in Pauley Pavilion, you thought wrong. They brought it with them to Las Vegas. Double overtime, Shotgun. You were in the arena. What was that game like?
I mean, it wasn't just USC with the dramatics. It was the Pauley Pavilion dramatics came because the game
Sure.
before USC, UCLA has a 16-point lead. They blow it and lose in overtime to Oregon State. And USC, it kind of felt like that might be the case for them. They opened up a double-digit lead in the second half with about 12 and a half minutes to go. They were up 10 points. And then Utah was able to creep back in. But it was kind of a back and forth. I mean, USC got up by 10 there with a 6-0 run. Utah immediately answers with a 6-0 run. USC 5-0 run. It was answered by a 5-0 run. And then they traded baskets kind of back and forth, and Utah slowly crept their way back in because USC missed some free throws down the stretch, and they were able to tie the game with 2.3 seconds left. Goes to overtime. Utah again makes a big shot late in the overtime period to send it to double overtime. USC can't make the game winner there, but then at the end, Evan Mobley kind of took over, and USC was a terrific basketball game. I thought bat on both sides. You look at the stat sheet and pretty even almost all the way across as far as what the stats played out to be. USC didn't shoot great from outside, but they held Utah to not shooting too great for outside. USC shot pretty well as far as their field goal percentage. They shot pretty well from the free throw line. So did Utah. A lot of similarities there, and it came down to the end in double overtime. That's how you get a game that goes to double overtime. Just back and forth, really good basketball, college basketball, March action right there.
For sure. Like you mentioned, a lot of back and forth, a lot of similarities between both teams. What was the difference maker in order to put the Trojans on top?
I mean, he wears a jersey that's number 4. He's number 1 in USC fans' heart. He may be the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA draft coming up. It was Evan Mobley. He was fantastic down the stretch in the second half in overtime. He finished with a career-high 26 points. He scored 13 of USC's 20 points in the 2 overtime periods. And in the second overtime, in particular, he really took over. He scored 7 of the first 10 points that were scored, so he was outscoring Utah 7-3 there, and he scored 8 of USC's first 9 points in the overtime period. That really helped them space out, and then that got him into the final minute, and they made some free throws at the very end to put it away. But he was fantastic. He was outstanding. I mean, he did it from inside, he did it from outside. It was interesting that Utah switched their defense. They completely changed over. It was a gradual progression over the season. The first game when they played USC, it made caught everybody's eye, and it made news that Evan Mobley didn't attempt a field goal. And what happened is that Utah doubled him as soon as he touched the ball every single time. Didn't matter where he was in the half court, every single time he touched it, he could have been 5 feet beyond the 3-point line. They had 2 guys coming at him. They wanted him to get rid of the ball, and he did. He found his teammates. He passed the ball really well. So then, and USC dominated that game. They won by, I think, 18 points in that game. At Utah, they switched it up, and they double-teamed him occasionally, a little bit less frequently, kind of a 50-50. And then this game, and Utah won that game. This game, they tried to go with more one-on-one opportunities and tried to not double-team him as much and force him to beat them, and he did. The first game when USC dominated Utah, everyone around Evan Mobley played really well. They knocked down a bunch of shots. This game, they said, we're not going to let those shot makers get going. We're going to force Evan Mobley to be the guy to be aggressive, and he was fantastic. He drove the ball. He attacked the basket. He kicked the ball out to his teammates when he needed to. He had 1 turnover, and that was in the first half, and that was an offensive charge. The rest of the game, I mean, even in the double overtime period, the overtime periods, he had 4 of his 9 rebounds. He had 2 of his 5 blocks. He did it on both ends, and he was spectacular in the overtime periods.
The crazy part, though, Shotgun, is that he only played 7 minutes in the first half. He got into foul trouble early. On the USC side of things, how did they not drop off when they have the difference maker on the bench?
Yeah, it was great to see for them as a team how they rally around the rest of the it was a lot of times it was the second unit. Chavez Goodwin came in and was fantastic. He barely played in the second half because he was in a lot of foul trouble as well, but he was impactful in the first half without really putting up a bunch of stats. He was great on defense. They made some shots. Isaiah White was back. He missed the last game. He had back spasms. He's basically missed a game and a half. He came back. He was back in the starting lineup. He scored 7 of the first 11 points for USC, kind of get them going. They were struggling a little bit offensively early in the game. He kind of got them going. They were down at that point when Evan Mobley goes out. They were tied right then, but then a couple seconds later, Utah was able to attack the middle a couple times. USC started switching their defenses up. We saw, some 2-3 zone. We saw them attack with a press. They were doing some different things. And that second unit, and then just the guys, the complementary parts around Evan Mobley really stepped up in the first half and went on I believe it was a 15-2 run at one point. Now, Utah crept back in. It was a 5-point game at the halftime, but you lose Evan Mobley with 13 minutes left in the half, you go, ooh, this could be dangerous, especially because you saw the way that USC really struggled with Utah in that second half and those long stretches where they didn't score the ball at all. They were fantastic filling in and picking up the slack for Evan Mobley being out right there. You wondered, would Andy Enfield have to, throw Evan Mobley back in there for a couple minutes late in the half? He didn't have to. He could save him, and Evan Mobley was never in foul trouble again. And that was a big thing because a lot of guys were in foul trouble in this game. Yeah. And that's why he was able to kind of dominate late in the game, is because he wasn't in foul trouble when a lot of other people were.
Now, USC came into this game rested, but double overtime does give wear and tear on the body. Shotgun, how does this affect tomorrow's game for USC?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Evan Mobley only ended up playing 36 minutes. That's kind of around where he normally is at. He's normally 34 to 36. That's kind of his range that he's usually in when he plays a full game. But a couple of the other guys played a lot of minutes. Isaiah Mobley played 46. Tajidi played 44. Drew Peterson played 42. Tajidi's the one I always am concerned about, just smaller guards, the wear and tear of playing back-to-back days now. And they could play a Colorado team. Colorado's leading the game right now. We're taping while that last game is taking place. But Colorado's leading as they play them again. Colorado has really bullied USC down low and been physical with them. And that's the way they kind of try to take out Evan Mobley when they played those two games earlier this season. So I think that's a concern there, it does the wear and tear from the cumulative effect of two nights in a row. But, it's tournament time. And this is the time of year where you say, you guys are 18 and 21. It's time for you to not have tired legs. You just got to, they've got to take care of themselves tomorrow. They got to sleep in, rest, do the ice bath and everything tonight. Do everything you can. Get treatment early in the morning because they're playing a late night game. They're playing at 8:30 p.m. That game's going to be on ESPN for everyone who wants to watch. You can watch now. It's not on the Pac-12 networks. But, I think that's the big thing is just, preparing your body, after the game and then tomorrow as well leading into the game so that you're going to be rested and ready to go. Evan Mobley, that was the thing. He said, well, I was rested in the second half. He showed it, while everyone else was grinding down, he wasn't. So we'll see if that's an effect tomorrow. Now, the good thing for USC is Cal has kept this Colorado game close. And, hey, they could still, make a comeback here to finish it off. But whoever's playing that game, they will be playing their starters the entire game. Just like we said with Utah yesterday with Washington, that cumulative effect of having, not being able to rest some guys some extra time late in the game, I think is really important for USC that happens so that they're not really tired of themselves and facing a really well-rested team at the same time.
Alrighty, Shotgun, any final thoughts before we wrap it up? It was the first time that USC played in front of friends and family, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. What was that experience like?
You could actually hear some the fans, which was fun. Hearing people yell for certain players or just cheering along. It was more interesting the Oregon State UCLA game to me because that was the first time I really heard it, and it was just kind of whoa, what's happened here? This is strange a little bit, and then it was pretty dramatic there in the final minute of overtime for them. USC, I thought it was interesting. I think their bench got a little bit more energy from the crowd as well. One of the things I noticed is the first time, Utah's team, and I've seen Oregon's team do this a little bit, but was starting like a little league defense chant, something you might see in the student section or something. But
you can hear it on the broadcast.
Yeah, you don't hear that. You don't see that normally on a a D1 bench when there's crowds and everything. You'll see that in the student section, whatever. But you saw USC in the overtime period. They actually started doing that a little bit. And I think that was fueled by the fans as well as, Utah's bench doing it too. I think it's just going to bring a little bit more energy. And that's something that could really carry them if they, if you are a little fatigued tomorrow playing a game on a back-to-back day, if you have some fans behind you, you want to play well for them. But also they can give you that little extra energy, that little boost as well.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up. Here from Los Angeles and Las Vegas, a two-location instant analysis. For Shotgun Spratling, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.